So the Knicks have bowed out to the Pacers for the second straight season. This time they made it within 2 games of the NBA Finals, and it's got us wondering, is this the ceiling for this version of the New York Knicks?
I mean, clearly the front office thought so, because they already canned Tibbs, but let's see what else they could do this offseason to make themselves a championship team.
Before we start talking about the Knicks offseason, if you haven't already, make sure to leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. But first, a word from the sponsor of today's video, DraftKings. Guys, the NBA Finals are here. It's time for the biggest couple of weeks in the basketball calendar, and it won't be long until we have our 7th different NBA champion in as many years. And with the finals so close, our partners over at DraftKings have got you covered. Right now at DraftKings, new customers bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Use your $300 on same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout, play game by game, or call your shot before the finals start on who you think is raising the trophy, whatever fits your style. And if sports betting isn't available yet in your state, not a problem. You can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use our promo code Synthetic and get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 and win. Once again, that's promo code Synthetic only at DraftKings Sportsbook, and thank you again to DraftKings for sponsoring today's video. So yes, the NBA Finals are going on right now, and don't worry, we're gonna have videos on that series as it goes on. In fact, we might flex our schedule a little bit to, better align with how the series is going. We'll keep you all updated with community posts and on our Twitter, so keep your eyes peeled. Don't worry, our fellow small market brethren, we got you guys covered. We haven't forgotten about you. But last Friday, we made a video where we looked at the future for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we figured, why not do the same thing for the Knicks? And as we were formulating the idea for this video, it was mostly just gonna be on roster moves that they can make, and maybe some slight philosophical changes that the coaching staff could make. Well, we're definitely gonna have some big philosophical changes at the coaching position, because the Knicks have parted ways with Tom Thibodeau in a pretty shocking move.
Yeah, another shocking head coach gets fired. According to the statements put out by team president Leon Rose, the Knicks felt they needed a new voice. Tibbs wasn't the coach that could lead them to a championship. They essentially thought this was the ceiling with Tibbs. I mean, we get it. Tibbs has his flaws. Dude is over-reliant on the starters. His offense, definitely needs to be...
It's limited.
Yeah, it needs to be more complex, more movement there, but they just had their best season in 25 years, completely outperformed expectations. I mean, going to the playoffs, basically everyone was saying the second round was their ceiling. They couldn't beat good teams during the regular season. Everyone saw that matchup with Boston, and it looked like they were out. I mean, there is a scenario where maybe Tatum stays healthy and the Celtics win, but regardless, they were taking a 3-1 commanding lead when Tatum got hurt. I mean, sure, you lose in the conference finals to Indiana. You have that super disappointing meltdown in game 1, but you make the conference finals. You get super close to winning a title. The East is going to be wide open next season, and you make the shocking move to fire your head coach. In some ways, I see it. In some ways, I kind of agree. But with how wide open the East is going to be, like I mentioned, that's the part I really don't get about this firing.
Yeah, and there's something about this move that just feels icky to me. Tibbs just led you to the best season of our lifetime, and he gets canned for it? In the 19 seasons before Tibbs got there, the Knicks had the worst winning percentage in the entire NBA. And by the way, keep in mind, Tibbs made the playoffs 2 years before they got Brunson with Julius Randle as his best player. He had him as the 4th seed. They had a home court advantage. And ever since they got Brunson, they just steadily improved every year, going out in the conference semifinals in 6, then going out in 7. Now they make the Eastern Conference Finals. So they're on their way up, and he loses his job for that? I don't know. I get it, he has flaws. I just feel he deserved another year to try to work out the kinks with this roster. And it's just confusing because of the reasoning the Knicks have given and the potential candidates we've heard. They don't have an internal successor. Say what you want about the Grizzlies or Nuggets firing Jenkins or Malone. At least they had guys on the inside that they felt could take the job. Knicks don't have that, so they got to look externally. And the candidates I've heard, Johnny Bryant, the associate head coach for the Cavs, he was a Tibbs disciple. disciple and would also be a first-time head coach at the age of 40. So you're hiring a very young coach with no experience whatsoever, and he was a disciple of your previous coach. So if you're looking for a big philosophical change, I'm not sure this guy does it. Maybe he does. We don't know a ton about him, but it just seems like a weird choice. Mike Malone's been another name, but again, like, I think Malone's an excellent coach, but if you're looking for a guy that's like got a different temperament or attitude than Tibbs, Mike Malone is a notorious hard ass. Like, he basically ran himself out of Denver because of how hard he was being on his players. So if you're looking for someone that's different from Tibbs, I'm not sure Malone's the guy. And like Jay Wright, I've also heard, like,
that can't be serious.
I get it. He's got the Villanova relationship with Brunson and Bridges and Hart. Like, I understand it. He also hasn't coached since 2022, and he's never coached in the NBA. And we all know going from college to the NBA doesn't always work out. Sometimes it does. Brad Stevens, Billy Donovan, like, sometimes it works. Sometimes it's Rick Pitino, and it's like crashes and burns. Like, compared to Tibbs, I'm not too enamored with any of the potential replacements. And also, like, with Jenkins and Malone and the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, you could see that they were kind of hitting a plateau. Again, the Knicks outperformed expectations this year. They did better than most people thought they would. They did better than last season. And Tibbs gets the axe for it. It just, again, it may end up being the right decision in the long run, but something about it just like doesn't feel right to me, you know?
Yeah, I mean, some situations like this have worked out. Of course, the most famous one is the Warriors moving on from Mark Jackson, hiring Steve Kerr. You have recently JB Bickerstaff being let go by the Cavs, and they bring in Kenny Atkinson, who I guess technically had the same second round exit, but had that amazing regular season.
Yeah, 64 wins.
Yeah, so seems like a better fit. Or it could be like the Suns firing Monty Williams, or now they're just in turmoil, or the Bucks firing Bud. I mean, yeah, just not a huge fan of this move. Like, in a vacuum, if the East was still as tough as it looked at the beginning of the season, I could see it. If they had gone out in the first round, I could see it. But you make the conference finals. Again, the East is so wide open. Like, just, it seems like a big risk kind of to go for this. For the guy who comes in, like, what changes need to be made? First of all, you gotta play your bench more.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually at the end of the season, Tibbs in the conference finals started like rolling out DeLon Wright, Landry Shamet. There was some success there, but it would have been a lot more successful if those guys actually played during the regular season more.
Yep.
If they had more time to work in these lineups. I know the Knicks, very top heavy team, incredible starting lineup, have like one or two good players off the bench in Mitchell Robinson and McBride, but you gotta play the bench more. You gotta have more dimensions on offense. Like, this is such an ISO, like, you know, early 2010s offense.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's just like, you know, Brunson pounding the ball down, slow pace, getting to his spots and scoring, kicking it out to Towns, like the pick and roll game. And it does work. Those are great players, but like, send out all these assets, Skip Bridges. I think this could be a reason they fired Tibbs. You gotta utilize him more. We know Bridges can score. And at moments, he'd take over games with the mid-range shot, but like, you gotta have a modern NBA offense is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, with the bench thing, like, you may lose a few extra games in the regular season, but the knowledge that you get from seeing your bench work together with the starters and seeing the different lineups working together, that's more valuable than like the 3 extra wins you might pick up if you just ran your starters into the ground, right?
Definitely.
And then with like the offensive thing, I mean, look how much the Cavs improved this regular season by taking the ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands. Like, he had his lowest scoring average in years, and they got significantly better because the ball is moving around more guys are getting open shots. So yeah, you got to have a modern NBA offense in the big 2025 if you're the Knicks. So the whole coaching situation thing out of the way, time to start working on this Knicks roster. And we'll start with some more realistic moves they can make. Biggest problem throughout the season, we mentioned it was their bench. Like, their starting lineup's amazing, but their lack of depth was completely exposed by the Pacers in the conference finals. I will say also the Knicks were quite lucky this season in terms of injury luck with their starting lineup. Jalen Brunson missed the most games out of those starters, and he only missed 17 games. So I don't think you can count on having that good of injury luck every year, because like, what happens if Cat gets hurt and misses like 45, 50 games? He's done it before. If that happens, you need to have guys on the bench that can step up and just hold down the fort until he gets back. Unfortunately for the Knicks, they are quite committed in terms of salary for next year. Like, they're gonna be right up against the first apron with just the guys they have on the roster, and that doesn't include Landry Shamet or DeLon Wright. The good thing for them is their 2 best players off the bench are under contract, although next year is gonna be the last year of Mitchell Robinson's deal. So in terms of targets for like free agency, honestly, their options are pretty limited. Like, you know, Luke Cornett or Gary Trent Jr., like, you know, those kind of guys, that level. level. I will say one name I think would be a decent fit that I really haven't heard much about is Chris Paul. Like, I know he's old as dirt, but as a backup point guard, I think that's a decent pickup, especially when, like we mentioned earlier, one of the biggest criticisms of this Knicks team was that they're too isolation reliant. Like, Chris Paul's going to get in there. He's going to distribute the rock. He's going to get guys open shots. I think is just a one-year stopgap at point guard. I think it'd be a decent pickup.
Yeah, I like that. I haven't really thought about that. Also gives Chris Paul like one more chance, last chance to win that title.
In the Big Apple, too.
Right. The big question is, like, if the Knicks are serious about adding more depth, we talked about how important that is in the NBA. Will they break up a piece of this core to make that happen? I mean, Brunson, we know he's not going anywhere. I doubt they're going to move Bridges or OG. I mean, wings are so valuable in the NBA. Those guys were key for them this season. I highly doubt either of them's getting traded.
Plus, you just gave up 1 million picks for Bridges. You can't trade him a year later for like two role players.
Absolutely not. So that basically leaves you Cat, Josh Hart, and Mitchell Robinson. In terms of trading, like a guy like Cat, he's probably safe. I mean, he had a really good season. He's their second best player. And like with his mega deal, not a lot of teams are even going to be in the market for him. So most likely he's safe. So that kind of just leaves Hart and Robinson on much more workable deals. I could see a lot of contenders, playoff teams wanting those guys. I mean, I know Knicks fans love Josh Hart. He played for the Blazers for like one season.
I was going to say, we fell in love with him real fucking fast.
We'll still cheer for his ass when he comes back to town, but he is the guy you could trade and add more depth. I mean, near the end of that playoff run, they start bringing him off the bench. He's a guy, you got to at least look at moving. He's worth keeping. Great rebounder, great locker room guy, incredible hustle guy. But if he could add some more depth, sending him out, that's something you got to look at. Robinson probably not going to be moved. They really need their bigs. Plus, like we mentioned, final year of his deal. Depending on the situation, if a team's trying to shed salary, maybe there's something there, but not a ton of value with that. So now let's start talking about the stuff that's not realistic, not going to happen.
But it's fun to talk about.
Giannis to New York. I've been pitching this for probably like 5 years now or something, maybe longer. And the rumor is Giannis wants to go to the Big Apple. Most of the talk's been around the Nets getting him because they have more salary, more flexibility with assets. But the Knicks, they got to be thrown in there. I mean, the only problem is the framework of this deal is cap for Giannis. I mean, that's the salaries, that's the asset the Knicks have. But if you're the Bucks, you really don't want Cat because Cat just by himself in Milwaukee with Dame out, that's going to lead to nothing. Even when Dame comes back off an Achilles, like 36-year-old Dame and Cat at like 32, that's a guaranteed first round exit. Even if you make the playoffs, that might be a play-in team.
Yeah, you might miss the playoffs entirely. I mean, I think a framework could be there, but I really think you need to get a third team involved, specifically either the Pelicans or the Blazers. For anyone who doesn't know, the Pelicans and the Blazers control the next 6 years of first round picks for the Milwaukee Bucks. So if you could get one of them involved and get the Bucks' own picks back to them, I think there's a possibility for it. It's like a 1% possibility, but there's a chance because like you said, count on the Bucks next year, that team's missing the playoffs. I don't even care. Even if Dame comes back, that team's not going to make the playoffs. And if you're the Bucks, there's no point in being back in the lottery if you don't control your own first round pick. So if you could get the Pelicans or the Blazers involved and get some of those picks to go back to Milwaukee, I think there's a chance. The problem is that means sending out more assets to either New Orleans or to Portland. And those are assets that I just don't think the Knicks really have. The other, much more realistic, albeit still very unrealistic option is the Kevin Durant option. Again, seeing KD in a New York Knicks jersey, finally after all these years of all these rumors, would be pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure it can be done somewhat straight up, maybe throw a couple guys here or there on opposite ends just to make the money perfectly work. Trading Cat for KD, almost straight up. Let's just go into the assumption it can work. It is interesting because you're trading a guy who's not even 30 yet for a guy who's going to be 37 by the start of the next season. And while yes, Cat can be inconsistent on offense and you could see KD as like a more stable, consistent scorer, really the biggest complaint we've heard about Cat from Knicks sources and whatnot was they were frustrated with his defensive play, which first of all, what the did you expect when you traded for him? I mean, really? And second of all, a 37-year-old KD, he might be a little bit better, but he's not a big upgrade on the defensive end.
Yeah, I agree with that point. I like the starting lineup, Mitchell Robinson at center and then KD at power forward. You get out of that weird Cat thing where he plays at center, can't defend the rim as well. You put him with another big, then it's kind of mucking things up. You got issues there. So I actually do like the fit. Yeah, it shrinks your timeline down a ton. Probably not going to happen regardless. regardless, but goddamn, this team would be must watch. I think they'd be very good. They might be the favorites to come out the East next season with them. Definitely more realistic than the Giannis one. I'm just kind of throwing the Giannis one out there. I think there's no chance that happens. But then again, given what the Knicks did last offseason, maybe there is a chance. Also, you know, you pair Devin Booker with Cat, a similar timeline there. They're really good friends, played with each other at Kentucky. So for the Knicks, like, if you're not breaking up the starting five, like, there's really not much you can do. Realistic moves, sign a couple guys in free agency, explore trading Josh Hart, but that's about it in terms of the low-key moves. The KD trade, I would love to see it. It'd be must watch. I think it makes them better. I think it makes them like really solid championship contenders. There's not many teams I'd put over them next season, specifically in the East. But the big thing is like who they're going to hire as the next head coach.
Probably the most important decision they've made in the last like 25 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Again, like I feel Tibbs got a raw deal, but look, he had some flaws, and the next guy that comes in, you got to correct him. You got to establish the bench rotation, and you got to get the ball out of Brunson's hands a little bit more and establish a more, you know, egalitarian offense. But, you know, like you said, this is the Knicks, and if there's anything we've learned about them from the past couple of off seasons, they're probably just going to do something really fucking crazy that no one is expecting, and you know what? I'm here for it. That's the video, guys. What do you think the Knicks should do this offseason? I'd love your chat to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.